Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called When Reality Glitches, written by Catfish21SM. Everyone knows the term glitch. It's used to refer to electronic devices malfunctioning. Oftentimes, this is used in reference to computing devices, games performing actions incorrectly. Objects clipping through other solid objects is a common example. AI glitch. They give incorrect answers based on a glitch in their processing. Glitches are pretty simple. There are two primary reasons they occur. Either the machine performing the process is given more input than it can process, causing incorrect processing, or it is given an impossible question that it must answer. Oftentimes, a glitch isn't as much one or the other, but a combination of both of these factors. But what happens when both of these factors come together in a real-world situation? An impossible scenario that must be played out and far more input than could ever be considered reasonable. The answer to that is simple. It glitches. It doesn't necessarily glitch in the way that you might expect. You see, reality is not capable of breaking its own laws like a program that is given too much data or an impossible situation would. Reality doesn't just crash, but it still has to find an output for its input. The way it does that is quite fascinating. There are many loopholes in reality as we know it. Just a few rotations ago, our foremost scientists were arguing over these loopholes with quite the fervor. It all started when a student's computer simulations went horribly wrong. The student had programmed the device to perform a simulation on a Category 3 danger rating 7 Deathworld. Life in such an extreme environment should by all accounts be impossible, but the simulation still produced life. This started the controversy. Many of our best scientists argued that the results were due to a glitch in the program. Setting life on such a world would add far too many variables for the program to handle. Furthermore, the program by its very nature must continue to process the impossible situation until a viable solution was found. It had to be a glitch. There was no other viable explanation. However, a small group of scientists argued the opposite. They were fringe scientists, often compared by the media to conspiracy theorists. Well, that is until they were proven correct in the most horrifying way possible. A probe sent to explore the galaxy returned information about a world rich in resources and showing possible signs of biological life. As per normal protocols, a team of investigators was dispatched to gather additional data that the probe could not supply. Even though rare, sapient life was possible, so a diplomat was sent with them. What they found was immediately classified as a top-secret information. Only agents at the highest level were privy to this information. Scientists were invited to study firsthand the new discovery. However, they were sworn to the utmost secrecy. What was found was a glitch in reality, a Category 9, threat level 12, and arguably even a 13 Deathworld, and it was teeming with complex life. Now, I'm not referring to very simple multicellular organisms, sentient life forms with a working nervous system and brain structure, and there weren't just a few of these either. There were millions of different life species, multiple food chains. But the single most terrifying discovery of all was a single apex predator found on this Deathworld. This predator had earned its place in its environment through one means only: its extraordinarily complex brain structures. Its brain structure gave it a high level of sapience, so much so that it was not only capable of driving to extinction all its major competitors, but allowed it to leave its planet. The task of leaving the planet alone was enormous, considering the gravitational pull of this world was 4 times greater than the galactic standard. Immediately, we began to study this species and were completely blown out of the water. Almost every aspect of their being far surpassed what was possible for biological life. Their evolution was exploited every loophole that you could find in the laws of nature in order to produce the perfect apex predator. It had to. There was no way that any species could even survive on this planet if it hadn't taken advantage of every loophole that nature allowed. Their physical makeup incorporated numerous features that we didn't even think possible until thousands of years after we left the gravity of our own home world. muscle fibers twisted around itself to produce far more strength, an adaptive neural network that processes entirely new information on the fly. They did not have to stop and allow their brains time to process new information. They were capable of processing it while performing other tasks. Everything about them was a glitch found in reality. Just from the biological scans alone, our own technology improved by more than 1,000 years worth of research and development. The humans were truly a terrifying species. They should be feared and simultaneously glorified in the galaxy. You may be wondering why I'm telling you all of this all of a sudden. It is not because we are asking for cooperation in studying these primitive, albeit impossible, life forms. It's because we wish to welcome them with open arms to the Galactic Union. Now, I know what you may be thinking. It would be dangerous to just release this information to the general public, let alone welcome the species to the Galactic Union. I understand that you may want to deny my request and immediately set out to exterminate the species as quickly as possible. However, I would like to inform you of one final minor fact. The humans' most prominent and glitch feature is their adaptability. Their physical prowess made it nearly impossible to study them up close and by force. I mean, they are apex predators of a Class 9, threat level 12 Deathworld after all. So we had to make a deal. Before you ask, no, we didn't give them access to any of our technology. We merely allowed them to look at it. Unfortunately, that was far more than they actually needed. We didn't even allow them to see our warp drives, and yet just knowing they existed and knowing the overall layout of our ship was all they needed to not only build but improve upon our existing designs. I tell you this because I will reiterate, a Category 9, Threat Level 12 Deathworld Apex Predator that drove to extinction all of its competition is coming this way as we speak, with an FTL warp drive that is even faster than our own. Their ETA is 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes to decide if we will give this species a place in the Galactic Council and try, but likely fail, to control it using politics, or we will attempt to exterminate this species and likely end up the same way that all of the other predators on their home world ended up. Personally, I would prefer to be domesticated by them than driven to extinction by them, but that's just my opinion. What? They're already here? Oh. Sorry, men. Seems our time is up. We have to make up our minds now. I ask, no! I beg you, on behalf of every sapient species in the Galactic Council, to please choose wisely. End of story. Story number 2. Irrational Attachment, written by Marilyn of Many. I directed the delivery guy to put the last high-tech crate next to the others in the very full cargo bay, and I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. This was a big order. I noted the final count with a good old-fashioned earth pencil. The delivery guy, a fellow human, much beefier than I was, smirked at the pencil and clipboard. "Really living in the space age there," he said. "Don't you guys have tablets and scanners?" "Oh, sure," I replied. "But one has cracked screen and the other's got a faulty battery. You know how it is." His response was eclipsed by the arrival of a sparkly purple conglomeration of limbs that was my co-worker, Z. I was used to the bug aliens by now, but I was amused to see the brawny human edge back a step. Z didn't notice. "What is pack bonding?" he demanded, clicking to a stop and looking at the two of us expectantly. "They were telling jokes and made a little sense." He waved a pinch arm over his shoulder. "Then it occurred to me that I have a pair of qualified humans here that I can ask. Why do people joke about humans caring too much?" The delivery guy straightened up, all bluster. "Oh, it's a bunch of radiator wash, really. Lots of species are social. Really, we wouldn't have spaceships out here if everybody couldn't cooperate." "Well, sure," I said, "but there's a difference between cooperating and getting attached. Didn't you have a teddy bear as a kid?" "Yeah, as a kid," he scoffed. "We're talking about grown-ups here." "Grown-ups do it too," I told him, barreling on as he started to object. "We give names and personalities to ships and cars and space probes. We put googly eyes on machinery and keep pet rocks. We build people out of snow, lending them our own clothes. and we're sad when they melt away. We have ancient history of granting a bare military rank and a recent history of doing the same to a cleaning droid. We care about things. He was still shaking his head and looking stubborn, so I pulled a pencil from my pocket and held it in front of his face with an intense stare. I can tell you that this pencil's name is Stephen, I said. Then I can do this. I snapped it in half, and I can watch a little bit of you die inside. His expression was that of a person shaken to his core. What the f... Why would you do that? I looked down at the broken pencil. You can't tell me humans don't care. He clicked a picture. But it's just a pencil. It was, I said. Now it's Stephen. I pulled out a roll of tape from a different pocket, and now I have to nurse him back to health and apologize. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.